Having a child is something that a lot of us may consider at some point in our lives. It can be a joyous time, however it is thought that at least 1 in 6 couples may experience some difficulty conceiving, with 5% of couples still not managing to create a pregnancy after 2 years. Infertility can produce problems in both the male and the female. This documentary will explore male subfertility and infertility, and in particular how men can test this for themselves.
Hi, I'm Dan. I've always been curious about my own fertility. How do I know if I'm fully fertile? What can I do if I'm not? I'd love to find out.
First, we need to understand how conception happens. In a healthy male, sperm is produced in the testes and stored in the epididymis. This is released as an ejaculation. During intercourse, the sperm travels down the male urethra and into the female genital tract. Conception will occur if a sperm reaches the egg, fertilizes it, and then the egg implants into the uterus wall. During this process, there are many things that can go wrong. Male infertility and subfertility can be due to a number of reasons. To demonstrate this in regards to the male, all we need is a football, a goal, and an enthusiastic footballer. Imagine that this ball is a sperm and this goal is an egg. When the ball hits the goal, this represents fertilization taking place. Naturally, many millions of sperm from each ejaculation do not reach the egg anyway. This is perfectly natural. Sometimes the male could have abnormal or deformed sperm. This flat ball represents deformed sperm. These have difficulty reaching and penetrating the egg. Another problem could come from something called retrograde ejaculation. This is when semen is ejaculated into the urinary bladder rather than out of the urethra. The male may also produce no sperm at all or have a very low sperm count. This drastically reduces the chances of one being able to get to the egg. Also, it is important to consider the environmental reasons for subfertility or infertility. A man's fertility can be affected by heavy drinking, for example. Other reasons include smoking and trauma to the testes. These are just some of the potential causes for male fertility problems. So, how can men test their infertility? Dan is going to find out.
I've heard about a fertility test I can buy for £30 from Boots, a sperm check home fertility test. It sounds like a good opportunity to explore my fertility. I'm going to go buy one. So I've bought the sperm check fertility test, but I'm not sure I fully understand what the consequences of taking it could mean for me. So I've invited Professor Alistair Warren, a senior lecturer in biomedical sciences at the University of Sheffield, to advise me a little more on what the test results mean. I'd like to make sure I know what I'm getting myself into here. I'd like to understand the consequences and the implications of this fertility test.
Okay. Can you tell me something about what you understand this fertility test involves?
From what I understand, it counts the number of sperm, and the company that manufactured the test claim that this is a good indicator of how fertile you are.
You said that the test counts the number of sperm present in a sample. You understand that these commercial tests are not very reliable. They estimate the total number of sperm in the ejaculate in a sperm sample that you would have to produce. Have you thought about if this test gives you a result that indicates you might be subfertile, how you would feel about that?
Obviously I would feel somewhat disappointed, but I am interested to investigate both what's available to subfertile or infertile men.
Do you think it's a worthwhile experience to take this test under those circumstances?
I think since anyone can purchase this test, and I am of the group of anyone, it would be worthwhile as an investigation to use one as a way of understanding and a way of helping other people understand.
If the test gives you a result, and of course it might not give you a result, it might be flawed in some way and doesn't work, but if the test gives you a result, do you think it will change your behaviour in any way?
I don't think it will change my behaviour, certainly not at this present moment in time, as I'm not attempting to conceive at this point. But it may perhaps affect my behaviour in the future when I do decide to have children, and it may help me prepare for the future.
Now I've spoken with Professor Warren and I've decided to go along with the test.
I have here the sperm check home male fertility test. It says on the box 50% of infertility issues are due to the male. Claims it's over 98% accurate, the results in 10 minutes, convenient, private, and as accurate as a lab test. 2 red lines indicates normal sperm. 1 red line indicates low sperm. And no lines indicates an invalid result. In the leaflet it asks, how accurate is the test? In a clinical study comparing the results of the sperm check fertility test to the standard microscopic laboratory test, sperm check fertility was over 98% accurate in identifying if semen samples contained greater than or less than 20 million sperm per milliliter. What does a negative test result mean? A negative test result indicates your sperm count is less than 20 million per milliliter, which is below that of most fertile men. Some men with sperm counts below this level are still able to father children naturally. It's also important to understand that your sperm count can vary from day to day, so it's possible that you might get a positive result if you were to wait a while and test again.
A negative result on a test like the sperm check doesn't necessarily mean that a man will have a fertility problem. It may mean the test has failed, it may mean that on that occasion there wasn't a large number of sperm in his ejaculate. Sperm counts are a bit like the stock market, they go up and down according to factors in the environment or the man's general health. Conversely, a good result on the sperm check test kit doesn't necessarily mean that a man is fertile either, because whilst it can count the amount of protein or detect the amount of protein present in the sample, it doesn't tell you the quality of the sperm that are present, whether they're swimming or whether they're the right size and shape.
Here's the test, and now I'm going to try it out. Just waiting now for my semen to liquefy. Should take about 20 minutes. I'm on the final part of the test now. I've added the semen sample to the sperm testing kit and now have to wait 7 minutes to see if my results are positive or negative.
What men do is reduce the efficiency of those sperm producing cells within the testicles. So there isn't anything we can do to increase sperm production, but what we can advise men to do is to stop doing things that will decrease their inherent sperm production. So things like keeping their testicles cool, by eating well, eating lots of foods that contain antioxidants, and not smoke. Smoking is quite detrimental to sperm production.
So the result, as you can see, has come back, as the test says, negative, meaning the ejaculate I produced had fewer than 20 million sperm. So I got a negative result. It's a strange feeling. It's really daunting. Feels like I've done something wrong.
If a man has a low sperm count or has poor semen quality, we can still assist him to father a child. It may mean that he will achieve paternity quite naturally, but it will just take longer than the average. To some extent, it depends on the fertility of his partner. But if it isn't working naturally, and we usually wait for about a year to see whether or not a man can father a child, then we can do some more sophisticated fertility treatments such as IVF or a sperm injection technique that we call ICSI, and that can help him father a child.
I think if I hadn't have spoken with Professor Warren, I'd be a lot more worried about it than I am now. I'm glad I know treatments, alternatives. I'm glad I went into this with the right mindset. I can see how this worries people. Feels like a really big result. This time my fertility test results came back negative. It's important to note that this result only means that there were fewer than 20 million sperm in the ejaculate that I tested. Many environmental factors, like drinking, smoking, or even resting a laptop on your legs, can lower your sperm count. If I were to repeat the test, I may get a different result, but this still doesn't necessarily mean I was fertile. While sperm count can make conceiving more probable, it really only takes one sperm to fertilise an egg, and quality of sperm is often more important than quantity. If you've been affected by any of the issues in this short film, please arrange to see your doctor or visit www.nhs.uk for more information. Remember, when it comes to sperm, it only takes one.